Hey, what's up? Good morning. Hello, YouTube. Whatever that is, that place where I post videos and only a couple of people watch them. Anyways, so I post videos every time nowadays. Instead of blowing off steam, it's really about sharing things that I find are absolutely fascinating, and say if I've had a breakthrough in something, and things that I've compiled, an amount of information or research on. All right. So here comes 3 videos. So this is the first one. It's called The Fountain of Youth. Right. So I don't know, like as you get older, I think everybody kind of wants to retain their youthful appearance, not to let themselves go too much. I mean, some people, I don't know, myself, anyways. And people used to say about me that I look about 10 years younger than I am. But then I went through a phase of time where I kind of lost that, I didn't know what happened. It was frustrating because I just kind of started aging, I started not feeling as youthful, I started getting more tired and this and that. There's a lot of things that contributed to it. Diet, all kinds of crazy diets, and certainly not going to the gym. I mean, it's a thing. I've learned now. I will be making a video about bodybuilding, but because if you get emaciated, your body stores glycogen in your muscles, and then so you'll be tired. If you're thin and lanky, you're not going to be strong. It's hard to do things. All the strain goes on your joints and things like that. So there's a lot of things that contribute to a loss of energy and just feeling tired and feeling haggard, looking haggard, looking in the mirror and be like, holy cow, it's like I'm starting to get some gray hairs here, and it's like I'm starting to get, wrinkles here and all this kind of stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that per se, right? I mean, but if it is avoidable, to the extent that it is, I will certainly make every effort that I can by exercising, by cleaning up my diet and stuff like that. None of that stuff is the point. So the thing is, this was something that was very hard to put my finger on. And it was a part of why I kind of stopped making videos, and I started using this comic book filter because I really wasn't happy with my appearance. I looked tired. Sometimes it looked like I got hit by a bus, and certainly if I would do something, like if I would smoke weed or drink or not get good sleep, and that would happen all the time, and then it would just, be like a compound effect, and I would just look like SHIT. And so it was really frustrating, right? And it's but it's hard to put your finger on. It's like, what am I doing wrong? Because I've always felt like I was kind of halfway in between sickness and health. And I didn't know how to, it's like, well, what changed? And something that did change. So I'm just going to kind of share this is just that so I became a yogi. And so in order to walk that path with the school that I did, they asked me to step away from the path of plant medicine. And so prior to that, I had worked with plant medicine, ayahuasca, psilocybin mushrooms, peyote, mescaline-containing cactuses, salvia. I mean, you name it. If it is plant medicine, more or less, I worked with these plant teachers. But then to become a yogi, I stopped. So what happened there? So, okay, then that was the beginning of the decline. And it was really difficult to put my finger on what was going wrong, because it's like, oh, I'm stretching, I'm doing yoga, I'm meditating, all of these things. Doesn't this equal vibrancy and health. It's supposed to. You know, it is a component of it. Do I still do these things religiously? You know, I have become a certified yoga teacher. My certificate's on the wall. It's right there. And like, yeah, you know, like anyways, trying to cut to the chase here. The point is, so when you look in the mirror, you might be like, or even are lying in bed or are getting up for the day or lying down for the day or coming home from work, you can be like, okay, I'm exhausted. I'm drained. I am done. I'm finished, you know? I'm tired. And like, it sucks to feel that way, to be that way, right? So, but all of those things are an expression of emptiness, you know, and that's a thing, you know, dealing with emptiness in its many forms. There's different ways to look at it. I mean, Taoism is based on that idea, but without getting off track. The point being that what I came to realize, so did I work with plant medicine since studying formally with certain yoga schools? Yes, on a few occasions. After I had been through some traumatic experiences, I was able to recognize that it's like, okay, I need to process this stuff. I am haunted at the moment. I can tell. I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about people in certain ways and this, and it's like I need to change the way that I'm relating to what happened, from resentment and bitterness and upset and hurt and frustrated and mad and, you know, add whatever adjective you like in there, to forgive and understanding and loving and compassion and things like that, right? So recognizing that kind of stuff, I would ingest an amount of psilocybin mushrooms mixed with Syrian rue. And so the Syrian rue, it's like the ayahuasca vine. It's a monoamine oxidase inhibitor, an MAOI, and it activates the components, the chemical constituents that are available in certain plant medicines, and certainly in mushrooms. There is psilocybin as well as a few other similar substances, but there's also dimethyltryptamine, which is DMT, and so then it is dubbed psilohuasca, because you can have an ayahuasca-like experience by creating this concoction. But the thing is, every time I would take this, I would be in a place like this and living somewhere, and I would have an episode where it's like everything, all of my negativity, everything that was bottled up, everything that was driving me crazy, everything that was my stumbling block and my stepping stones, everything would just come erupting out, and I couldn't and in that state I wouldn't hold back. That was the whole thing, is because it's like, well, how else do you get something out that you're holding on to, that you don't know how to get in touch with, that you need to get rid of, that you need to deal with, that you need to recognize, that you need to process, that you need to move forward from, but it's difficult to just do that at a snap so that you can immediately, you know, get back to work, and all of a sudden, and so I had these episodes. I had one when I was living at a friend's house over there. Well, anyways, I was living at a place, and it happened, and I made a scene, and I called people, and I went and saw my dad, and I said these things, and you know, I don't, you know, I ended up sort of regretting some of my actions, because it was a yeah, you know, because I guess some of that stuff is just personal, and I need to keep it to myself. And this is what I'm learning. It's why I don't really make these YouTube videos anymore, because it's like, I think that there's something to be said about keeping stuff to yourself, not oversharing, and having other ways of doing stuff. And this YouTube thing, it just isn't that, right? And so that's why this is what it is now. But so then the next time, it was a few months ago, I did it here, where it took so much to get here, and it was like after living in my car. The other time it was after a breakup. This time it was like after living in my car and living in this room, and it was just a nightmare. So when I got here and finally got settled in, once again, I took some medicine and had an experience and just, howled like a beast, and like in a very healthy way. Like it was the medicine that I needed, but the way that I did it made a scene. I got noise complaints. I got served a warning that said if that ever happened again, I would have to move, like a written warning. And like I called people, and I just made not a fool out of myself. I mean, it was exactly what I needed, but it was also because of how I handled the situation. It was more than that, because when you make a scene, when you interrupt other people, when you are a nuisance, then it's not just that, right? So here I am once again. It's like, okay, I'm settled into this place. It's not the best, it's not the worst, right? And so that wears on me. Work wears on me. Relationships wears on me. Trying to start a business wears on me. My book wears on me. All of this learning that I'm doing, all of these little projects that I'm doing wears on me. Figuring out how to do bodybuilding wears on me, because you just constantly running into dead ends. But then that's when you take another direction and you figure it out, right? And it's really getting good the more that I figure it out. But still, like running into a lot of dead ends, it's you get over it, but do you? Right? I think that what my understanding is, there is an amount of residual, and it builds up until and it's like, so I made a list of the things that are the most pressing in my life right now, and they're all artistic endeavors. One of them is my book, one of them is to do with music production, and one of them is to do with I'm DJing a set at a festival this year. And it's just like, it's crazy. These are artistic endeavors, but these are my biggest points of stress in life, as well as like other little projects that I got going on. And it's like, okay, and it's funny having to do certain things and make certain decisions, like sit down and sort down all of your hard drives so that you have your music in order, so that you can do this DJ thing, or just to sit down and write or when you're writing, to edit and make certain cuts. Like you need to discriminate. You need to say, this has got to go. I need to finish this piece of work. I can't just keep screwing around with this forever. It needs to come to an end or whatever. Just move this stupid thing. And it was the same thing with music. And it was like, okay, well, arranging a song, composing, at that point, composing music, there's a lot that goes into it, like it's funny because we listen to music, and it's just like when you start to really realize what goes into a song from the beginning to the end, certain types of songs, like for me, it's rap songs that make rap. And it's like, there's a lot. There are so many considerations and so many choices. And I found myself getting overwhelmed and like almost like an analysis paralysis. And it's like, okay, this sucks. And I'm reading this book about letting go, and it's like talking about this stuff. And then so this place where I'm going to be DJing, I taught yoga at this place last year. And I invited all of my friends, and nobody showed up. Not one single person came out to support me and be there for me. in this time when I really would have loved to have some support and some companionship and some friendly faces and people that I knew, and so then all of a sudden it's happening again this year, and then somebody's like, oh yeah, I want to come, and then all of a sudden the first thing I feel, it's like, I just want to say I don't think that's a good idea, because last year when nobody showed up and I asked you all what you all would do, what everybody was doing, and everybody was like, oh, nothing, absolutely nothing, just sitting around, was doing nothing. And I was like, and I was hurt. I was butt hurt. I was angry. I was pissed off. I was frustrated. I was sad. I was mad. I was just like, F you to everybody. And I had to tell people, because I was just like, why doesn't anybody ever make any kind of an effort for me for any reason, like, is it so hard to be supportive, like, I don't ask for much. And it was frustrating anyways. And so this year, when this person said that, it was just like, I don't think you should come, because if you don't, then it creates a scenario where, like, I'm clearly not over last year. I'm still frustrated. I'm still upset about it. I'm trying to let go of it, but there's a part of me that's just like, and it's like, so here I am, and this is somebody who this is who I'm saying. I'm thinking about saying this to a person who I care about deeply, a woman who is a friend that I absolutely adore. And I have this resentment, right? So I can see that I have this negativity in me. I have this frustration. I have this anger. I have this resentment, this bitterness. And I have all of these issues. I'm struggling just to make little decisions, to do with making art, to do with writing. And so I was like, okay, like, the answer to me isn't to try to force the issue. The answer isn't, I'm going to sit down and just force myself to write, force myself to make a song, force myself to sort out my hard drives, force myself to do this DJ set and be prepared. I was like, no, because based on this book that I'm reading, Letting Go by David Hawkins, it's like you can, I don't know how to say this, part of it, it's like, you can psychoanalyze, you can psychology things, and that's good. But you can also just choose to let go. It's that simple. But it's of course challenging. It's hard, for what it's worth. And so here I find myself, not ready to let go of certain things and make certain cuts and do certain things. And I can see how it was relating to a lot of stuff. And I was like, okay, well, I clearly... So the idea, because when you do let go, it's like you create space. Because if you're, say a math problem, you don't have to figure it out. You're giving the equation and you're giving the answer. But imagine you have the wrong answer, but you hold on to it. So you have the equation and you have the right answer, but you're holding on to the wrong answer. How can you possibly move from being wrong to right if you won't let go of what is incorrect? You know what I mean? And so here's the thing. But once you do, when you have to get rid of your BS if you want to embrace the beauty. You got to get rid of the ugly if you want to embrace the beauty. You got to get rid of the mess if you want to embrace the cleanliness, right? I mean, like, it's a thing. And so it's like the idea isn't to force your way through anything. The idea is to find a way to let go of all of that nonsense that is plaguing you, that is haunting you, that is bothering you, that is preventing you from moving forward, right? And holy freaking smokes, plant medicine. Because so this time, with the experiences that I've had, it's like, okay, I'm going to try this again, but this time I drove way up Chilliwack Lake Road, almost to the end of the road, and found a place where there was no fishermen, and I went down by the river in a little cove where the noise of the river muffles the sound of my voice, and I had a fire that didn't go, but like there was all these lessons, right? And I went up there and I yelled at a tree, like, yeah, I'm not going to explain, but like in a very intelligent, emotional, uplifting, enlightened way. But I got things out. I moved through some stuff. I had enough revelations. I processed all of these things in a few hours, right? We're talking get up there at the crack of sparrow farts and, out of there, in the early afternoon, when I was okay to drive. And as a result of it, because what did I do? I cleaned out my closet. I let my demons out to play. I let them do their things. What Lao Tzu says is, if you want something to go away, you need to allow it to express itself first. And so, I don't know, like for myself, I guess I was carrying around more demons than I was aware of. I had more ghosts in my closet than I was aware of, because of just, it's not all about big, grandiose events, like breakups or deaths or things like that. It's not just that. It's just everyday life. It's just the grind. It's just trying to get ahead. It's trying to catch up. It's trying to be a good friend, a good brother, a good sister, a good mother, a good, whatever. All of that. And then it just can slowly build up inside of you. So I was full. Like I was saying about how being drained, well, you can be drained, but you can also be full of ideas, full of resentment, full of bitterness, full of frustration, full of just being tired, full of emptiness, full of loneliness, full of all of this stuff, right? And it was something that I came to terms with when I was there. I was just like, and I'm going to say this to people, this is a part of my doctrine now, is that you are alone. You're fundamentally alone, like oneness. There is only one. I mean, there's something called the divine paradox. So like you are and you're not, but it's a thing, like there is, you are on your own. You have to get over being alone, because until you do, you will put that lost loneliness on an animal, on another person. You might put it on drugs. You might put it towards getting distracted, forms of entertainment. You might go on trips or whatever, anything to avoid being comfortable, that it's like, hey, you are alone. You have to take care of yourself. There is nobody else. You cannot rely on anybody. You cannot listen to the advice of people on YouTube. You can't take anybody's advice. You need to find your own way. You need to figure it out for yourself. You need to do your own research. You need to go through your own trials and tribulations. You need to take care of your mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being. 100%. Right? And so this was a thing, and so anyways, because you can, when you have these feelings of I'm alone, I'm lonely, I'm lost, I'm scared, I'm afraid, it doesn't help, right? It helps to get over that kind of stuff. And so this is the thing. And then so, long story short, when I got home, And when I looked in the mirror, I looked 10 years younger because I let go of something that was old and dead inside of me. I let go of negativity. When I was by the river, I had this it was a root of a tree, but it was dead, right? And I was holding it, and it was just like, this is negativity. It's the past. It's something to appreciate. It's something to look at, but it's not something that is life-giving. This is not living anymore. It needs to be, relegated to, it needs to be put to the side, and it can be appreciated, but it's not something that you're going to, that is going to bring vibrancy and virility, and I can't remember the word for a woman, her vibrancy, but like in a man, anyways. And then so, yeah, I mean, and it was phenomenal, because then over the course of the next couple of days, it hasn't gone away. I look in the mirror and the bags under my eyes are gone. And the tiredness, and I sat down to sort out my hard drives, and it was no problem. Making decisions, no problem. Moving forward, no problem. Choosing things, no problem. And this is something that I experience when I work with this medicine. And I'm not telling anybody to do this, but I, in good conscience, need to express this because it is just super important to me, and nobody else is going to listen to me talk for half an hour, but I need to get this off my chest just so at least it's out there. And if one of those 2 people that watch my videos finds it interesting, I don't know, good for them. But another thing too is that something that I've heard Bashar saying is that one of the keys to your youth, to having a youthful appearance, retaining your youth, is to live in the now. Because this is where it's at right here. When you're in the future, you might be thinking about it or worrying about it. If you're in the past, you could be upset about it, all that kind of stuff, reminiscing, you could be, gloating, or all of these things. But right here in the present, right here and right now, is none of that nonsense. And so to the degree that you can maintain your presence here and now, fully present here, centered, grounded, now, here, in this moment, a gift to this moment, as this moment is a gift to you, this moment and you are one, you retain your youth, your youthful appearance. I mean, and it's a thing, if I was ever to give, because like a lot of women are very concerned with this kind of stuff. I mean, I'm a feminine man, I'm concerned with it too, right? But women, they lose their beauty, and I don't know, and it's not even a conversation that I'm going to get into, but I mean, it's something that you can do aside from diet, aside from exercise, cardio and resistance training, aside from yoga, aside from meditation, aside from, yes, you can, stay living in the now and having good company. And, there are a lot of things that you can do to stay looking young. And I don't know, all I can say is I just found one of them. And I guess that, I ate that Silawasca reluctantly. It's not like I wanted to get high. That's not it at all. I wasn't, that's not it at all. It was very reluctantly. But it's like, well, you know, when you can't keep going the way you've been going, it's like, I need to do something differently. And so that's why it's like, okay, no, I mean, I need to do this. And so what I'm thinking though, moving forward, is that this is going to become a thing. You know, if it had that big of an impact on me, and I can tell to do with everything to do with me that it made a huge difference in my life, and it's helping me to move forward with everything, and I look younger, less stress. I remember when I only have a couple gray hairs in my beard here, but I remember back in the day, whenever I would get a gray hair, I would find a way to de-stress and then they would disappear. Right? So I'm wondering if this will happen again. You know, you get rid of the stress in your body, and especially like after the mushroom trip, like practicing yoga, holy smokes, I'm loosey goosey and am able to twist myself into a pretzel effortlessly. So it's just a wonderful time to stretch super deep and just like get some of them, iron some of those kinks out, right? But yeah, I can see doing this on a regular basis now, you know, like basically anytime I'm feeling stuck. You know, if that means once a month, or, you know, if that means on solstices and equinoxes, or I don't know. I mean, but I don't run my life according to that. I mean, I, you know, I march to the beat of my own drum. But, yeah, I can see this becoming a thing. You know, and just one other thing I would say is, you know, you don't take medicine if you don't need it. Otherwise, you're a drug addict. And it's a slippery slope. So, yeah. Anyways, that's all I have to say. So, yeah, there'll be another 2 videos coming pretty quick, too.